in my runways, I would be like, okay, let's make the most harmonious, beautiful, kind of like chic look that works together. But with this, it was like, okay, we've made this gown. Now, what necklace shouldn't really go with this? But like, or what shoe makes no sense with this? What would Jackie pick in her closet because she's excited about it? And I just really saw something in her that I love in my clients within my career is people who are just excited by the craft.
Welcome to the Costume House with Spencer Williams, a podcast dedicated to the art and storytelling of costume design in film, television, and theater. I'm your host, Spencer Williams. Thank you so much for being here. Today's guest is someone whose work is instantly recognizable for its joy, audacity, and full-throttle glamour. Christian Cowan. Christian has become a defining voice in contemporary fashion, known for his bold vision and exuberant sense of spectacle. His designs have lit up red carpets and stages around the world, worn by icons such as Beyoncé, Lady Gaga, Miley Cyrus, and Zendaya, and celebrated everywhere from Fashion Week to Vogue and the New York Times. But now he brings that signature energy to a brand new stage, Broadway. The Queen of Versailles marks Christian's Broadway costume design debut, a glittering, high-drama musical world built on excess, aspiration, comedy, and some truly delicious fashion storytelling. Today we talk about stepping into the world of theater for the first time, crafting wardrobes big enough to fill the Versailles of Florida, and how he translated his runway sensibility into a character-driven Broadway narrative. The Queen of Versailles is playing now through December 21st, 2025 at the St. James Theater. Head to queenofversaillesmusical.com and get your tickets now. And with that, it's time to step inside the Costume House. I am so happy to welcome my new friend, designer Christian Cowan. Christian, I'm so pleased to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm so honored. I'm so honored, and I wish I had as beautiful of a backdrop as your lovely green curtain
Oh,
situation that you brought
gosh, well,
there.
thank you. This is not real, but your brick wall behind you looks very lovely. So,
I'm silhouetted. I've got Monica Bellucci has joined the chat as well, so it's perfect.
which is always a plus for me. Well, Christian, I am so excited to talk to you. We have a lot of great stuff to get into. Obviously, you're a celebrated fashion designer. Your collections have been worn by Beyoncé, Gaga, Miley Cyrus, and Zendaya. We could go on and on. But today we're talking about your Broadway costume design debut for the show, The Queen of Versailles. I have to start by asking, did you always imagine yourself stepping into this world of Broadway? What drew you to this medium? It had to have been there somewhere.
It's been here for a long time. I mean, obviously, like I'm based in New York, and my whole career has been here. And I remember when I first came to New York when I was 10, I came and I saw Moulin Rouge.
Mm,
And it was like such a formative experience. And so forevermore, like it was always something I wanted to do. And I remember being kind of surprised when I entered my kind of like high fashion career of like how separated the two industries are at times, even though we share this wonderful city together. And so forever I was like, that makes no sense.
yeah.
Like, why is the fashion world and the Broadway world in one city and they're not overlapping enough, in my opinion? So it was always on my little hit list of things to do, and I can't really believe it's now we're here and it's happened and it's on the
Yeah,
stage.
it's so odd that sometimes they just don't speak to each other the way you think they would. And also Moulin Rouge will get you. That's a gateway for sure.
It was a gateway. It was a gay awakening. It was so many things all at once.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think more of the fashion world should come down to the Broadway world and Broadway to fashion. Like there's such a I think people think they're so different, and they are so different. But the same principle is there. If your design is driven by character, then
Right.
it's the same
And
thing.
did you always find yourself to find like a theatricality in your work before that maybe kind of helped you attune to this Broadway landscape?
Absolutely. I mean, my career started by dressing singers, mainly artists, and so the whole not only the expression of character and you're doing a performance, but also the whole practical side of just it's got to be durable, it's got to be able to be sweated in and moved in, and the zipper's got to be strong, and the heel's got to be a certain width because of the holes in the stage. Like that's all stuff that I'm very used to because that's how I really began. So I think it made sense that it's just an extension of performance.
Right. Well, let's get into the show. So, your costume design has quickly become one of the production's standout highlights. I mean, every review seems to go to the costumes of the show. So the musical is partly inspired by the documentary the same name, following Jackie and David Siegel's quest to build $100 million mansion in Orlando. Jackie's dream home, modeled after the Palace of Versailles, all just before the 2008 recession. So there's a lot happening there. How did you tap into the mindset and the glamour of the Queen of Versailles? Were you watching a documentary? Were you looking at reference photos? How do you even start?
Well, so I'm a big fan of Lauren Greenfield, the documentary maker who made the original documentary. I'm a big fan of her work. And I remember years ago, my parents, like maybe 10 years ago, gave me a book called Generation Wealth by her. It's amazing. It just delves into this topic of like, what is the American dream and the toxicity behind this kind of onslaught of commercialism that is so intertwined with the American dream in so many ways. And so I loved that book and I liked what it represented. I like finding the darkness within the beauty, like the person who has all the most gorgeous clothes and the gorgeous homes, but there's some darkness there. I always loved those characters in film. And so that was already a big inspiration point for my own brand, really. I liked that maximalism that had something off. And then so I was kind of like born to do it in a way. And then I went around town telling people that I wanted to do a Broadway show, and someone, this amazing Broadway producer, Bill DeMaschi, contacted me being like, "Hey, I'm doing a Broadway show based on that documentary, Queen of Versailles." And I was like, "Say less. I will do it," because it's just so my speed.
Done. I love that. And so the show is directed by Michael Arden. Can you talk about your creative collaboration with the director and how the two of you shaped the visuals for this world?
I mean, Michael, firstly, I was just so honored and gagged that my first Broadway thing got to be with a director like Michael Arden, and I'm such a fan of his work in the past. So to be able to absorb from him and learn from him, like in my career up until now, a lot of the time it's my own creative I'm dictating and then following. And I found it so inspiring to get his notes and his changes, and like he really encouraged me to delve into kind of the low points of Jackie's costuming. My mind was all obviously off to the races with the gowns and the things, but he really encouraged me to expand upon those casual looks, but like bring so much character to them. And also just watching the way that Michael conducts everyone is masterful. It's masterful just seeing how someone can harness so many creatives and make them all collaborate in such a good way. So I just learned so much, and I'll always be very, very grateful that my first project got to be with him.
I mean, it's clear that that collaboration really worked quite seamlessly, both on stage and off. Another collaboration that I would love to get into, Jackie Siegel is played by Kristin Chenoweth. Bold, vibrant, endlessly aspirational. What was it like designing this version of Jackie, this actually real person, to life?
Well, I was so nervous the first time I was meeting Kristen, and I very rarely get nervous, but I've realized the people that you get nervous around are the people that you loved as a child.
Mm.
Those are the people that really get you. So I remember once when I met Vanessa Williams, I was obsessed with Wilhelmina Slater. So like I was like dying at meeting her, and I had the exact same for Kristen. I grew up on the school bus singing along to Popular, and it was a huge part of like my childhood experience. And so to meet her, it was a dream come true because she was just it was like a big warm hug the second I met her, and she wanted to know about me and not just my work. She wanted to know about me personally, and honestly, I mean it. One of my best takeaways of this whole experience has been my friendship with Kristen.
Wow.
She's such a true and real friend, and such a supporter, and also a dream to dress 'cause she looks amazing in anything you put her in. So it makes my job so easy. And she's also just game. She wants to dazzle people. She wants to do the thing. She doesn't care too much about being comfortable, another designer's dream. And yeah, it's like she's a tour de force. Like the way I don't know, I've never seen anyone work that hard in my life. It's honestly really inspirational. Like she's nonstop working. She nonstop has time for everyone. It's really rare, honestly, someone like that. So blessed. to have been able to have worked alongside her.
So from a costume point of view, when we're talking about Jackie, I'm seeing lots of pinks, lots of sparkles, lots of glamour, even though we're barreling toward a recession. Tell me a little bit, without spoiling too much, what the costumes are going to look like when you see Jackie on stage.
What's so fun about this show is not only Jackie's costume tracking, but then in comparison to like everyone else on that stage as well. But like Jackie is this wonderful fusion of all the money in the world and an obsession with color and sparkle, but then a very unique language of how she puts that together. And that was really fun to play with. It was about, hey, what does this not necessarily like in my runways, I would be like, okay, let's make the most harmonious, beautiful, kind of like chic look that works together. But with this, it was like, okay, we've made this gown. Now, what necklace shouldn't really go with this? But like, or what shoe makes no sense with this? What would Jackie pick in her closet because she's excited about it? And I got the honor of Jackie giving me a tour of her closet
Wow.
in the house itself, and
Wow.
yeah, which was wild and everything you expect it to be. It was amazing.
That's a dream, actually.
It is, and her closet is 2 stories. It's got beds and stairwells, and it's got, I mean, tens of thousands of pieces of clothing and handbags and display things, and it was so much fun seeing. And I just really saw something in her that I love in my clients within my career is people who are just excited by the craft of clothes and just love to celebrate clothes, and they're not necessarily worried about fitting into a trend or doing this or doing that. Just joy. Like she brings the joy out in clothing. So that was really fun to bring in. But then I love the contrast of Jackie Siegel's character was this exotic bird surrounded by normal birds. And so it was about creating those 2000 something teenage looks and those construction worker looks, but then I also got to do period French court, which was such a treat. So there were so many juxtapositions. It was very fun.
Yeah, well, that leads me to my next question, because I'm a costume nerd. I love history. I love period costumes. So when I was diving into all of your beautiful illustrations and seeing some of these pictures, one of my favorite elements is, of course, the historical costuming. So I have to ask you, what did your research process look like? We're going to get into the Marie Antoinette gown in a minute, but just tell me first, diving into the history of it all. Well, I mean, you're in New York, so you have a wealth of information and research and history around you.
So lucky. And I chose to see this show not as just a modern day show with a period element, but I think it's got two period elements. There is the kind of Louis the 14th to Louis the 16th, you see, and then there is also the 2000s, which to me is a
Yes.
period. It's a period now. It is
Yeah.
a period, and I took both as seriously as each other in their realism to what was going on. The only slight outlier to that was Marie Antoinette, which I'll get onto in a second, but everyone else was very much verbatim to someone within the French court who wore an outfit like that. So it was really just about researching got loads of books, scoured the internet, found all the paintings I could find of costumes that celebrated using. I wanted to use a lot of like primary colors within the French court because I feel in modern day interpretations of the French court, you often get this like pastelized version, which definitely happened, but also was a big trend at the time to just enjoy bold reds, bold blues, bold greens, like these kind of like less fashiony colorways, but and using as many of those colors as possible. I didn't want a like harmonious palette across the stage because it's been done before and it's been done to perfection. So it's like let's give something else. So we very much went for realism, down to the trims, down to the techniques used to make them, collaborating with people like Eric Winterling, who are so knowledgeable. That was a massive part of it for me as well, was Eric was just so intensely knowledgeable about
He's
every element.
incredible.
Incredible. I'm a true master. And so it was an education. Like I was very happy to give in and learn. And I was like, this is what I want. Help me get there. And and I can't stand when people just try to bulldoze through these amazing costume makers talents and try and put their own perspective. So it was very much collaboration, which was amazing. And then it was the same for the 2000s costumes. I used a lot of my references of my sisters at the time.
Yeah,
So it
it's
was a
right
joy.
there.
So I put all their horrendous fashion decisions into that show. It's the
Just gonna
awkward
go
layer.
through Facebook for a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, like the awkward layering of like different bra tops with like baggy tops over jeans with like the jeans that like get frayed at the back and have the salt rings on them and
Yeah.
the owl pendant necklaces, like just all these things that for some reason we all thought were great at the time. And that was so much fun to explore. But then with going back to French Court as well, the only place that I kind of deviated from real life, like Anne of Austria was Anne of Austria, blah blah blah. Everyone was everyone, but for Marie, I wanted to do some fresh spin. One probably out of like selfishness, because what a dream just to be able to
Yeah.
do your own take, but also I kind of wanted to do some a color. There's one which is very much within a color palette we've seen before. It's almost a shepherdess fantasy, almost harkening back to like her village that she had. But then then there's this final main one, and I was like, what's the color palette that I haven't really seen done on Marie before? And I was like, I've never really seen this like sunset kind of tonal palette. This like warm pinks with warm oranges with yellows, and Cassandra, the actress who's playing Marie, I was like, this is going to look so beautiful on her. And we had this like pink wig. But in my research about Marie, apparently she had this dress that had handmade ceramic vases interwoven into the gown itself. And then there was fresh flowers placed in the little vases as an adornment. And I was like, well, we have to do that. Like
Yeah.
that just has to take place because that's just the most incredible. And so the depiction of like what the show is about, this like mass ostentatious wealth. And so we had these amazing 3D printed little ceramic vases done because they were lighter weight for the costume, and then they were all hand painted, and then we got handmade silk flowers done and placed them in it, and it was
Ugh,
just it was fun.
it's gorgeous. I mean, when you read that, you must be like, well, we can't unread that. Like, we gotta get these
Oh, I was
flowers
like,
on
there's
there.
no conversation about it, and they're like, oh, it's going to be really expensive, and I was like, cool.
This is a story about the Palace of Versailles, so money
Exactly,
will be
that's what I'm
spent.
saying. And also I'm like, I'm sorry, like if someone's traveled from France or Oklahoma or wherever it is and come to New York to see a Broadway show and they're here, God damn it, they're going to see a fabulous Marie Antoinette costume. Like
Yeah.
they've got to get their bang for their buck.
That's what I'm talking about. Christian Cowan, give the people what they want.
Honestly, it was a big thought process about my whole thing. Is I really think about like the average like person going to go see a Broadway show, not someone from our world, not someone even from New York, just someone coming. I want to make sure that they are having the experience that they're excited for. I think that's
Yeah,
so important.
right. And another standout costume you shared on Instagram is this lilac metal python skin dress that I'm just absolutely in love with. Um, because of the texture, and I feel like texture really plays like a big role in your process
Yes.
as a costume designer, I'll say.
Massively. Yeah, very true. Like throughout this show, just for Kristen Jackie's tracking, one of my main things was I was like, I want to express nearly every color. Like I want to see her in all the colors, and I want to get as many different textures, prints, everything, because that's my experience I got from Jackie's closet. And so the Python was a perfect extension of that. Of well, if you're thinking of this character who's got all the money in the world and loves luxury, she'd have like python skin stuff and all that. So that had to be in it. And I always joked that her neutral was animal print. So like there was cheetah print, there was zebra stuff, there was the python stuff, there was all sorts of different prints.
Well, we have a little extra time, so I actually want to talk about another character as well. F. Murray Abraham is in this musical. I mean, what a legend. Tell me a little bit about his character as well.
Well, first off, just got a disclaimer: he's the funniest man alive, and
Yeah, I believe it.
he's so lovely. He's constantly cracking jokes, and he's also just so kind and like caring. I just really adored him, and his character was really fun to dive into because he was the perfect kind of thing to play off of for Jackie. That he's actually the man bringing in all the money, but like many of those men, they're not fashion obsessed, and they often like what they like, and they're not deviating. And I got to meet David Siegel, luckily, before his sad passing, but I also just looked at what he wore, and he liked to be comfortable. He liked a loose fitting suit. It wasn't about the most amazing, dazzling suiting. Like, I don't think that was his concern in life. And he loved like a printed, like palm leaf shirt. And so I kind of kept that going throughout his closet. But then I really wanted to show at points of bankruptcy and stuff. You know, there are many lines in the script that allude to everything's okay as long as the money's there. And so when the money wasn't there, I wanted to really show that level of depression within his clothing. So, you know, you see F. Murray in like loose, ill-fitting, bad tank tops and like loose, kind of like baggy, ugly shorts and like pulled up socks, like things that aren't finessed or nice. And he's on this stage with all this like gold gilt stuff and a wife in a python skin dress, but he's in that watching TV. And I think that contrast was important to highlight Jackie's kind of extremeness, but also to highlight the complexities of their relationship through these huge hurdles that they faced. So I don't think people quite realize how much thought went into F. Murray's wardrobe, but
Right.
I was really pleased with how it turned out. And I felt bad. One day he was like, can I not wear something nice? And I was like, oh my God, I will work out one or two nice suits, but otherwise, I'm sorry, I'm keeping you in these outfits.
Right. I mean, it's such an excellent character study. So your team shared with me before that the Queen of Versailles features around 375 costumes on stage, which is a massive number. But then when you start to factor in everything else, I mean, we're talking about roughly over 1,000 costumes at this point, 1,100. It's a massive undertaking, Christian. So can you talk about the scale, talk about your team and how you were all able to pull this off together?
Not for one second do I want anyone to believe that it was all in one person, please. Like, it was a small army of us. Like, my team, I can't like begin to summarize how grateful I am to the team. You know, I'm a first timer, and no matter how eager one is, and how excited, and how much someone researches, there's just a bunch of shit that you have to learn on the job because it's a whole new world. I didn't know how previews and tech works. I didn't know about how it works outside of when you're doing your Boston run and then this and all the read throughs. I didn't know so much, and the people on my team held my hand and educated me and brought me through it so incredibly from you know, the people to my immediate side, but who helped me to the seamstresses, to the 3D printers, the assistants who were in charge of fabric swatching. You know, we had a large team, and it was one of the main beautiful parts about the experience was being able to work with that many talented people who love what they do. That's the beautiful thing about Broadway. I've really learned from this experience is it is one of the industries I've touched into the most where people love what they do. People love it so deeply. They're not there for the acclaim or the money. They're there for the pure passion, and that's my favorite thing in this life is to work with people like that. That's the thing that makes you want to continue what you're doing. So
Yeah.
that was incredible. And taking on a production of this size, you know, I definitely had some insecure moments where I was like, am I meant to be finding it this overwhelming and this hard? And they would be like, this is a 10 out of 10 of complexity of Broadway show. Like, you need to understand that this is extreme. And it's a bit like a baptism by fire of, you know, it being my first gig. But I'm so grateful for it because I feel like if we could do that show with all of its complexities, we could do anything. So, and I hope I get to work with many of my team members again. Because it was amazing. And then also outside of my own team, sorry to ramble, but outside my own team as well, I was so inspired by Dane's sets and Lauren and Cree's choreography and just seeing how everyone else worked and ran their departments. I'd never had that experience before. I've never worked at a different fashion brand. I've only ever done my own brand. So I only really know my own leadership style. And so to be able to experience everyone else's, it was one of the most helpful career experiences I've ever had because I just got to absorb it all. Even seeing how Stephen Schwartz works with his team and
Wow.
how involved he is, it's like, yeah, it was amazing. It's totally amazing.
Yeah. That synchronicity obviously just worked so well together. And I mean, you should be so proud. I mean, for this to be your big debut, what, like you said, what a big project to do as your first. I can't even imagine.
Very
Um,
honored.
this was such incredible production. Looking back on this entire process, what has the Queen of Versailles meant to you looking back on it now?
I think on a personal note, it's meant personal growth. It really has, like, and I don't just mean professional, like, I think I was in a run of doing fashion show after fashion show after fashion show, and don't get me wrong, I adore it and I will continue to do it, but you can stagnate a little bit. You know, you're with your same team and you're essentially working under like some sort of creative dictatorship of your own because within your own mind, you're never having any external influences push you in a different direction. And so to be able to be pushed and pulled and learn and critiqued and have notes and just all the stuff that comes with working on a production with this many people, it just helped me grow as an artist so
Yeah.
much. So I think the show always been growth for me and just very grateful for it. And it's always going to have the biggest place in my heart because it was my first ever costume design job in its entirety. I'd done a few dresses for films before, but nothing like this.
Well, then I have to ask you, I mean, do you see more costume design in your future?
Absolutely. If someone will have me, I would love it. But like, I definitely am very conscious of what type of project I'll take on next. I I don't know what it is yet, but well, I might. No, there's some things, but I would love to do a film. I'd love to do a TV show. I kind of want to taste them all and see what is my favorite thing. I'd definitely like to do more Broadway. I'd love to do an opera. I'd love to do a ballet. So I definitely want to do them all. But I'd definitely do another Broadway show. Like it's so fun. I'm sad that it's now left my life. I'm like, I miss it. You become a family with these people. So yeah, I miss it.
Well, I could speak for everyone listening that we are all hoping to see more of it because you're so great at it. Designer Christian Cowan, thank you so much for being here. This has been such a joy. I'm so glad I got to talk to you, and I can't wait to make it over to New York and see the Queen of Versailles in person in New York. Tickets are available now. So thank you so much, Christian, for being here.
Thank you. This was an honor. Thanks. And let me know when you're in New York and we can get a cocktail.
Yes, please. The Costume House with Spencer Williams is a production of The Art of Costume. This episode was hosted, produced, and edited by Spencer Williams. To discover more conversations with the designers shaping film, television, and theater, visit theartofcostume.com or follow us on social media at The Art of Costume. And don't forget to connect with me on Instagram at HostSpencer. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts or watch on YouTube. And stay tuned for more episodes celebrating the designers shaping today's most captivating films, television series, and stage plays.